This video is going to help us to work with time, adding, subtracting, converting from one measurement of time or one unit of time to another. So at the beginning, we're going to talk about how do we convert from one way to measure time to another. So in this example, it's wondering how do we go from minutes to seconds? Well, before we've used a ratio table like this to show how we go from one unit to another. So if I know that 1 minute equals 60 seconds, which I do, then I can find out different units of time. So maybe I want to find out how much 5 minutes, how many seconds are in 5 minutes. Well, here I've multiplied times 5. 1 times 5 is 5, so I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom, times 5. So I'm going to use some tricks that I know that 6 times 5 equals 30. 60 times 5, since this has an extra 0 in the problem, I'm going to add that extra 0 to my answer, so 300 seconds. It's like a 30 with a 0. So I've got 300 seconds. Maybe I want to find out how many seconds are in 10 minutes. Well, either I could multiply 1 times 10, or I could use this and just say times 2, what I already know. So those are two options. So 1 times 10 is 10, or 5 times 2 is 10. And I like doubling because that just makes things a little bit easier. So I'm going to just double this number, 300 to 600, and that would be seconds. So I'm using this ratio table to help me find equivalent amounts from minutes to seconds, to convert from minutes to seconds. I could do that same thing with hours as well. So when I'm talking about hours, again, I'm going to start with my unit conversion. 1 hour is the same as 60 minutes. And again, I could find any different amount. If I wanted to know how many minutes are in 3 hours, I could use this conversion table to figure that out. So I know that on top, I know I'm multiplying times 3. That's the relationship between 1 hour and 3 hours. So I'm going to do the same on the bottom, times 3. Again, using some of my tricks, I know that 6 times 3 equals 18. 60 times 3 would be like an 18 with a 0 on the end, because I've got an extra 0 in my factors. So 180 minutes. 180 minutes. So could I find how many seconds are in 1 hour? Could I convert from hours to seconds? Well, I could, but I need to do a little extra step. So I'm going to start with what I know about 1 hour. Well, I know that 1 hour equals 60 minutes, but I'm not sure how many seconds that would be. So I'm going to set up a different table and now move to my minutes and seconds. I know that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So now I need to do some multiplication. So I want to know how much are in 60 minutes. Well, on the top, I'm multiplying times 60. So on the bottom, I'm going to do the same to get to my value, times 60. So using some of my multiplication tricks, I know that 6 times 6, I'm going to start with my basic math fact, is 36. 60 times 6 would give us 36 with a 0, because again, I've got a 0 in my factors, so I have a 0 in my product, my answer. And then one more, 60 times 60. Now I've got 2 zeros, so I need to make sure I have a 36 with 2 zeros, 3,600 seconds. So I can find out how many hours are in how many seconds, sorry, are in 1 hour, but I need to do a couple conversions first. Now let's look at some of the work that we're going to do in our math work this week. And in this problem, we have a, a flyer for a race. And different races are happening at this course. There's a 5 kilometer race on October 9th, 10 kilometer race on October 16th, a 10-mile race, an 18-kilometer race, and so on. And at this particular course, there is a 10K, a 10-kilometer race course record. So the fastest that this race has ever been run is recorded right here. So we've got for men, this race has been run in 27 minutes, 49 seconds. For women, this race has been run in 31 minutes, 31 seconds. So how could I find the difference between the men's record and the women's record? Well, when I see that word difference, I always want to think of subtraction, because the answer to a subtraction problem is actually called the difference. So those words go together. So I want to find the difference, and when I'm finding the difference or subtracting, I want to start with the bigger number, 31 minutes, 31 seconds, and subtract the smaller number, which is 27 minutes, 49 seconds. So how could I do that? One way that I could do that is I could use my add up strategy. So I could add up from my smaller number to my bigger number and see how much space is in between. So down here, I'd have my smaller number, 27 minutes, 49 seconds, because it took men less time to get around the course. And then my bigger number would be 31 minutes, 31 seconds right here. So I'm going to start adding, but I like to add to friendly numbers. So right away I can see that if I add a second, 0 minutes, 1 second, it would get me to 27 minutes, 50 seconds. And now my next friendly number is actually going to be 10 seconds away. So if I add 10 seconds, I'm going to get not to 27 minutes, 60 seconds, but that 60 seconds is actually become another minute. So I have 27 minutes, 60 seconds, which means that that 60 seconds becomes 1 extra minute, which would become 28 minutes. Now, if I add, I could add 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And that would bring me to 31 minutes. And now just adding that last 31 seconds brings me to my higher number. Now I just need to figure out the difference between all this that I just worked out. So I've got 31 seconds and 3 minutes. That'd be 3 minutes, 31 seconds. Plus 10, 3 minutes, 41 seconds. 3 minutes, 42 seconds. 3 minutes, 42 seconds. And that's the difference between these two. Another strategy I could use is my takeaway strategy. And when we're thinking of subtraction, this is often what we're thinking about. We're starting with a big number, 31 minutes, 31 seconds, and we're subtracting an amount to find the difference. So we're going to subtract 27 minutes, 49 seconds. So if I take away, again, I want to work to friendly numbers here. If I take away 31 seconds, that's going to take away this 31 seconds and leave me with 31 minutes and 0 seconds. Now, I need to take away this group of 27 seconds. So if I took away 27, or sorry, not 27 seconds, 27 minutes. So now I'm going to subtract 27 minutes and 31 minus 27. Well, that difference would be 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. That'd be a difference of 4. So that means we're down to 4 minutes. And so far I've subtracted 27 minutes and 31 seconds, but I need to subtract 49 seconds. So if I took another 10 away, that would bring me to 41 seconds total that I've taken away. So if I subtract 10 seconds, now I'm going to be at 3 minutes 50 seconds. Because when I'm at that 0, when I start taking time away, I'm going into, remember this is the same as 60 seconds. When I take 10 away, that brings me to 50 seconds. So 3 minutes 50 seconds. And now I'm at 27 minutes 31, 41. So I need to take 8 more away. Make my last little jump of 8 seconds. And now when I take 8 away from 50 seconds, that leaves me with 3 minutes 42 seconds. And that's my answer. 3 minutes 42 seconds. So a lot of us want to know, well, how could I use that standard algorithm to find this out? And we could use the standard algorithm, but it works very differently when we're talking about time. So I'll set up the problem, 31 minutes, 31 seconds, minus 27 seconds, 27 minutes, 49 seconds. So instead of thinking about each of these columns as their own place value, so thinking about this column separately from this, I need to think about my seconds as one place value and my minutes as one place value. And if I had hours, I would think of that as a separate place value. And here's what I mean when I say that. When I look at this problem, I'm trying to take 49 from 31. But I can't take away 49 from 31 because 49 is bigger than 31. So in this regrouping step, I need to take away an hour from my hours and add them to my, oh, I'm sorry, I need to take away 1 minute and add them to my seconds. So if I take away 1 minute, that would make 30 minutes. But now I need to do in my head that little conversion. I know that 1 minute equals 60 seconds. And since I'm going from minutes to seconds, I need to make sure I'm making that conversion. So 1 minute is the same as 60 seconds. So I'm actually adding 60 seconds to my seconds. So that would leave me with not 31, but 91 seconds. Now I can subtract like normal because my number on the bottom is smaller than my number on top. So now I can subtract like normal. 9 minus 1, well, I can't take 9 from 1, so I have to regroup. So now I've got 11 minus 9, which would bring me to 2. I've got 8 minus 4, which would bring me to 4. So I've got 42 seconds. And now I need to work on my minutes. So since 27 is smaller than 30, I don't need to do any regrouping, but I can subtract like normal. So 30 minus 27, well, that difference would be 3. I could regroup to show that. 10 minus 7 is 3. 2 minus 2 is 0. So the difference between these is 3 minutes 42 seconds, just like we found with the takeaway strategy and the add them up strategy. But remember, when you're working on the standard algorithm, you've got to regroup from your minutes to your seconds. Or if this were hours and minutes, you'd have to do that same regrouping. And remember, in this case, 1 minute equals 60 seconds. We're adding that 60 seconds here.